What it do, Faceteers, man? If you are a Faceteer, please make please say something in the comments. Please give me a review and just tell me like, hey, you part of the Faceteer gang. Like, I need to start building more Faceteers into the mix. And I just feel like I have so many different things concept wise, excuse me, that could really be cool. It ain't even got to be something that pops off like crazy. But if I had like 100 Faceteers where people's just like, hey, I just love a space to be able to talk about my multi-facets, the Marcus, I like your content. Like, that would just be dope to me. Just 100 people, like, I don't need to have 100,000, a million, like, just 100 people that just can relate to the messages. That'd be super dope. But for this episode, I want to add on or speak more about what it looks like growing during a difficult type of season and one where you're being called on to adjust yourself. And so, when you're going through a difficult season, you will feel it. You will feel the adjustments. You will feel things that's in your life changing. And oftentimes, we go through more. We may not. Every season ain't got to be crazy difficult, but we go through more changes than we realize. Now, I do think there's oftentimes where going through difficult seasons, I feel like the people that truly deal with it head on and the people that are not afraid of being uncomfortable will experience it a lot harder. And the reason being is because you're removing a lot of things that no longer serve you. You're finally showing up for yourself and saying, I know that I'm worth more. I know that these things in front of me just ain't aligning. And I know that some things are kind of moving me out of a space that I know I'm going towards, and I need to adjust that. And I've been in a few difficult seasons. My first difficult season was when I graduated from college, because going into college, that was a actually let's go before that. I would say like there's been different ones. A first difficult season was probably a little bit before college because there were times where I was just like at home chilling and um, maybe even before college, like that summer or the time before that, and then I would say like maybe freshman year summer. I just felt during those times, those were two periods where you're still kind of you're still kind of close to back home because I went off to college and I'm in a new city, but when I'm coming back home during the summer, okay, I'm back to my old environment, and so the summer before college or the time before, it's like I just could see a drift in people I was hanging out with, friendships changing, and even I would say during like my senior year of high school, you just started to see like a lot of changes, and I feel that was the first step of people really growing or getting prepared to grow into adulthood. So you would just see a lot of that where people that you had grown up with, people that you went through high school with, in freshman, sophomore, junior year, you was just like, man, there's just people just changing just in strange type of ways, or some people are just changing in ways where you just be like shocked. But as I went to college, college was a huge change for me, and it was one of the things that it's one of the experiences that I'm most appreciative of to this day, in addition to New York. But um, kind of fast forward, when I went to college, it was a great time. And then when I came back home for the summer, I was working the whole summer. But I would realize like the whole time that I was back home for the few months, I'm like, bro, there's just like nothing going on. And I just feel as if I'm truly working on myself in a different type of way. And I'm cutting out things already that I wasn't doing the year before, when I was in high school. And I'm like, people that I was connected with and stuff, it didn't feel the same. And I would just catch myself going to work, working 80 hours a week, and then I would even have I was doing two online classes, one in which I failed because there was no way in which I was going to get both of those done. I was coasting like a bug. But after that, I was just trying to find moments of just being able to have fun and trying to live in the moment. But I just felt that I was kind of stuck in some of those old cycles. People that I had just graduated with doing the similar type of things, and it just the vibe just didn't feel right. And I just couldn't wait to get back to the University of Louisville because I'm just like, bro, I want to get away from this. And that was a difficult season because there were moments where, and I'm not talking about when I was going through my freshman year when I was actually on campus. I'm talking about when I came back home during the summer and then the summer before that. But there was like some small moments where I'm like, man, if I come back here, I don't even know what I would do because there's just nothing. And that was hard because even though I knew I was going to be in college for 4 to 5 years, it's still the thought in your head about, man, I never want to come back to this place because there's nothing here for me. And fast forwarding, after I graduated college, I had to go back home. So I had applied for different type of jobs after I graduated. I wasn't getting any type of offers. Companies that did try to offer me were paying me super low. If I was going to try to live in New York, it wouldn't have even made sense. But I had to make the decision to come back home. And at that time, that's something I said that I would never do. And that was difficult for me because it's not that I had an ego at all, feeling like I was better than anyone or I was better than and that's never crossed my mind. But when you're in environments where you've grown, you have so much in you that you want to show the world, you just have so much excitement about going to the next step. It can feel as if it's a pitfall when you have to move into an environment that you said you'd never be in, but especially as a young adult, going into adulthood and you having the time of your life to you go into a place where you know there's nothing there for you. That was tough for me to navigate. And right before that, I had gained like a good amount of weight. I was previously in a relationship at that time, and I came back home. And also, too, a big thing was for me. I was always like a bit self conscious about my weight, but I knew too that I had gained the most weight ever. So I'm like, man, I'm over here. I look crazy. I feel crazy, and mentally, I'm just stuff ain't even right because I don't even want to be here. And I'm like, is this it? Is this what life is telling me that I'm destined for? And I will say that I had to take a lot of time to truly get into a different type of mindset. So at that point, I'm like, 22, 23, and I'm having to really change my mind because I'm someone where it came to working hard, as I've said many times in my podcast and other videos. The aspect of working hard in my life has shown up later. And there was many different points in which I did work hard, many moments in which I was tough and pushed through. But having that to be a continuous thing hasn't really shown up until this moment in my life, within this current season I'm in. But again, I would have moments where I would work out, where I would be able to get to that level, in which I feel that many people have small bursts of toughness until there's something that really pushes you into that zone. So it's not that it was something that was just I felt that I was in a league by myself, but I knew that I was someone that wanted to learn how to defeat that. And when I was back home, I said, one thing I got to figure out, man, is this weight loss. Because if I'm at least going to be back here and I'm still trying to figure out my job situation and everything, I'm eventually going to be able to get a job. But if I don't put time to working on my health, then that's something where no matter what a job can bring, I'm still always going to have that weight on me. I can get these temporary forms of satisfaction, and it's not going to be able to treat. I'm not going to feel the same about myself the way that I would. But fast forward, I ended up getting to a sales academy, and then this is when I started to lose weight. So I ended up going from like 272 to 227. I was on the snake diet, which is the saltwater fast, and this is a fast I've done many different times. Actually, part of a fast that I've done to lose a good amount of the weight that I've been that I did for the fast I did a couple weeks ago or last week. But this was the first moment in my life where I felt that I had to really depend on myself. Well, when it came to physical health. Another moment was when I was in college and when I lost my scholarship, and I could talk about that on another episode if I haven't already. But as far as being able to take care of me and having to depend on me, focusing on my physical health, I had to really lock in at that moment because nobody was going to be able to save me. And even when I had worked on it at that moment, I still didn't figure it out, even after doing it a couple times. But that moment of me losing it that first time, it allowed me to be able to show up for myself into a season like now. And I'm gonna tell you how. So going through the sales academy, was doing that, and then you have COVID that hits, right? So the company I was supposed to work with, they was supposed to work with them at the beginning of the January, and then that got pushed back to later due to COVID going on. But with COVID, it literally was a time where it stopped everybody in their tracks and it says you can't be outside, like you have restrictions, everything. So where my mind switches, I said, DeMarcus, this is a time where you literally can't do anything. So you need to take advantage of this. And I eliminated distractions. Hell, I didn't even do anything physical with the woman. I didn't have any sex for like 2 years. And I'd even told myself, I said, man, we're not even gonna sit there and be going crazy on that on any type of apps. We ain't gonna be while we're just gonna be so locked in and focused where at the end of the day, you ain't even trying to that ain't even gonna be something that you trying to put your mind on right now. And I did that. Like literally went 2 years. And I think it was like it was like a year and a half, 2 years, but that's a long period, especially for a man that's locked in. Like going almost 2 years intentionally, because listen, I could have went on some trips, I could have popped up to some friends' places or what, but I said, you know what? I'm gonna really take this time to focus on me and remove a lot of things that I knew wasn't serving me. And I knew for a fact if I'm just hopping in the DMs and stuff like that, I was gonna force it. And during that time period for me, especially when you're as a young adult man, there are many moments where you feel as if, man, if I'm going a bit of time without having a woman or doing something with a woman, it's not that you feel that you. I never felt like I was lame, but I may feel like, man, like something just ain't right. But I mean, there were moments where because you were hearing how other guys are talking, that you feeling like, man, is there something wrong with me? But you eventually, especially as a man, when you build your confidence, self esteem, you're like, man, I ain't even worried about that because a lot of these dudes be lying. They be trying to like flex and trying to flaunt, but they ain't even really what they truly talking about. And then I could have a couple experiences that the type of woman, the quality of the woman is way better than them being with 10 to 20 different women. But that's beside the point. The point is that that was a time for me as well too, because even in college, I had plenty of moments where I went 3 to 4 months, 6 months. I went a year without having sex. Like there was there was moments where I did that, and there were times where, for me as a guy, I just knew that I'm someone where it don't feel good just to sit here and try to mess with someone just to be able to get some. Like if I'm not attracted to them, I can't do it. I may have had a couple experiences in my life early on when I was just first getting any type of experience where that would happen. But for me, if I'm not attracted, like it can't work. And I'd rather go months or years without me having anything versus me and with the woman that I'm not attracted to, or that I feel I can even connect with in some type of way. Like I can't do it. And so that was a big thing in which I had to focus on. I'm like, hey, I got this time at home. Let's remove the focus on trying to even get that. And also too, let's focus on our physical self. And so I went from 272 down to about 227. And during that time, I had to really lock in with myself. Like I was just working on like clothing brand stuff, just trying to figure out all these different types of businesses I can start, but more so really spending time with me. And that's when I started to focus on beat making. And so all this is going to segue into what I talk about as far as for how I'm able to navigate tough seasons in general, or how I'm able to really feel comfortable in this tough season that I'm in right now. During that time, I really started to focus on making beats, and not from like a producer level where I'm trying to get placements, but more so where I'm just trying to learn how to create sounds and trying to create a hobby for myself that allows me just to feel comfortable, that allows me to feel like happy, where it's something where I ain't got to sit there and put too much effort into like cooking. I love cooking. Cooking is a huge hobby of mine that will eventually be turned into, and baking will be turned into some dope businesses. But actually, they already have been, but they will expand. But I wanted something where it could just be fun, where I didn't feel I had to sell anything. And beat making was that for me, because I tried multiple times to start beats to get it going, but I guess it kind of felt as if it was a chore when I was doing it. But I started to lock in with myself during the pandemic. And the thing that helped me the most, which is a huge, huge, huge plus for me now, is I would start making beats in increments. So I would start a beat, If it was just 5 to 10 minutes that I was able to craft something together, I would do that and go on to the next one. Now, oftentimes, whenever you're creating any type of product, the biggest thing that people tell you to do is to not just keep on making stuff and then not finishing what you started. But because it's something that for me, I wasn't trying to make into a business, and I wasn't trying to make into this huge type of production or whatever. For me, it was more so about how can I create something consistent that makes me happy that I can come back to at any moment. So what I would notice is I make multiple beats. They start off with 5 to 10 minutes, and then because I had time, then I would end up going back to the beat and spending 30 minutes to an hour. Then I may do one beat where it's only 5 minutes, and I'm like, this is okay. And then I may spend 2 hours just crafting up, checking out different types of features. Again, we're not trying to become a professional producer. Hey, if I had a placement one day, or somebody was able wanted to rap over a beat that I made on my YouTube, that'd be cool. But like, that's not the focus at all. I just wanted to find a way for me to create sound, for me to be able to create happiness within myself that was super low cost and I could take anywhere with me. And so shout out to my cousin, because at the time he gave me his login information. I finally got my own stuff now because he had a whole situation with too many people having this. I said, man, let me go ahead and get my own stuff. But the point is that shout out to him, because that really gave me a space to lean in on that. And then there was times where during that moment as well, I got a chance to ride down to Atlanta while him and my both of my cousins, they was making beats. They twins, so they known in the industry and everything. They was making beats, so I was like, man, this is dope. And then I'd be on his computer cooking up stuff and using some of the different kits that he had and all that type of stuff. And I was like, man, this is dope. And so for me, that's something I had to do as well, was really unlocking different types of hobbies that made me feel happy, that made me feel fulfilled, and ones that even if I didn't get any type of money out of it, it made me happy. During that time as well too, I was working on the clothing brand. I had a guy, me and him was doing it, and ended up not working out in the long run, but still, I learned how to be able to press my own t-shirts, my own sweatshirts and everything on my own. Learning how to go in, getting a few tips from on the friend at the time, and being able to learn about heat transfer vinyl and all these different things. It's like, now that's something I can take with me anywhere, right? It ain't even got to be something that's super complex. I know how to create a basic type of shirt. I know how to be able to look for really good quality, and I can come up with any type of logo, slogan, and I know how to go and find different types of layer, whatever it is. I know what it means to find um direct to fabric, all that type of stuff. But I was able to find during the pandemic how to do some things that you feel it may just be this may take like a lot of overhead, or it may be like a huge learning curve. I was able to figure out how to simplify that. And the fact I've been able to even sell my own shirts and brand stuff, like, that's actually really dope when I think about it. And it's based off of just names and stuff that I came up with, slogans and phrases that I came up with. And this is where I talk about having to give yourself more credit. I'll even think in my head about that at times and be like, yeah, I went to a few events and sold some stuff. Yeah, I had a time or times where I've sold plates and I've sold desserts and stuff like that. But I got to really, really think to myself at times like, DeMarcus, you really did that thing, because most people start something and don't finish, or they talk about something and never start. But you've actually taken concepts based on your own mind, and you believing in yourself and put it out there when these ain't even directions in which you were giving, or these ain't even things that were placed in front of you when you were young, or when you were even really going through college. Like, you found this out on your own as you were going through that. And I'm like, wow. And so in this moment in season that I'm in, I'm going to go ahead and skip ahead quite a bit. Because of those moments and me being able to truly find depth in who I was during those times and actually utilize that time, it allows me to be happy and feel fulfilled during a difficult season. Listen, during the difficult season, it's frustrating. There's days where I've had stress. I'm not even a person that gets stressed out like that, but I've been stressed out. A few days I've been pissed off, angry. But during those moments of me understanding how I was able to show up for myself then, It allows me to do that now. Let me go back to the working out. Like I said, I lost all that weight, but then there was moments when I got back to New York or when I came to New York, where I was fluctuating up and down with weight. You got good food and everything. Like you just have all this stuff in front of you. But one thing I told myself, I said, we never getting back to 272. That's not happening. But I had times where I fluctuate between 260, 230, 240, 220, 250. But as I was going through that phase as well, and this is after I had moved away from back home to New York, I still was seeing that I'm starting to sharpen my mindset. Hey, okay, we're getting up in weight, but let's keep finding ways to be able to go without food for a little bit of time. Let's figure out ways to fast. Let's figure out how to go even more depth on our low carb. So as I'm going through all these transitions in life, I'm learning how to sharpen it each time. I'm learning how to extend it. I'm learning how to add depth to it. And that's where, when I talk about even from before high school and up until now, when you constantly put yourself in position to be a learner, to be someone that's not afraid to try things, when you become someone that's open to taking life further, even when there may not be points to where you understand where you're going, it allows you to not only open up, but it allows you to have less fear, less anxiety, or it allows you to maybe even remove both of those things from your life, because now you say, hey, I did it in a moment to where I really didn't know. So the fact now that I know, or now that I've been able to see it, now I see that there's like a huge advantage to what I'm doing. And to fast forward in this moment, in one of the most difficult seasons of my life, it's been difficult financially, but as far as my mental, my spirituality, as far as my physical, I've been in the best place I ever have. But that didn't come with just life things being given to me. I've had to find it. I've had to go deeper within myself and actually say, DeMarcus, no, we're going to sit in this. We're actually going to deal with life. And no matter what it throws at us, you've got to utilize your resources, people around you. You've got to do what you can to be able to show yourself that you are meant for any type of moment. And there's not one thing, one person, or one situation that is going to deter you from being as great as you know that you can be, or as great as you know that you're going to be. That line that I just said is powerful. I said, DeMarcus, there is nothing, there's no one person, no situation that is going to deter you from being as great as you know you can be, as you want to be, and as you will be. And I told myself, I knew going into early this year, I knew there was something about this year. And I said something about when I turned 29, but I didn't think that 29 was going to be as abrupt as it has been. But I also didn't I also felt that going into this year, there was something different about the consciousness that I wanted to have for myself. At the beginning of the year, I had been, um, I was with somebody for a good amount of time, but at the beginning of the year, I told myself, I said, for me, I'm just going to. There's different things. It has nothing to do with that situation, but I'm just talking about from myself in general. For myself, I said I've got to get into a different bag, and I said I want to. I said I know for myself this is going to be a time where I really focus on myself, and the biggest thing it started with was my weight loss. And I said I know for a fact I'm going to lock in now, because this the past year and some change has felt a bit different. I said, as far as just the weather, it's been kind of just all over the place, and also too, just um, within being with someone, you're at a space to where you were just kind of just vibing. I said, you know what? Because of how where life's been for me, I ain't even really pressed to be getting out and doing a whole lot of stuff. Like I just really want to take time to focus on me. And I was getting out still. I was still, that's where I would date from time to time and stuff like that. But the point is that I was at a point to really focus on me in that moment. And